lovelies. It's an afternoon. I just got home from school. I had a really good day with the kids, but I kept thinking all day, oh, I can't wait to get back and see what's happening with the robot. We're on chapter 39. It's called The Allies. Jaya and Jad would do anything to have their own mother back, so they understood how happy Bright Bill and Roz must have felt in that moment. But they also understood that this happy moment couldn't last forever. Bright Bill couldn't live on the farm, and Rose couldn't be her true self around their father. Life seemed so unfair. The children knew what needed to happen. Roz, you need to go home, said Jaya. You need to be with your family and your friends on your island, said Jad. I wish I could go home, but your father would never allow it, said Roz. Just run away, said the girl. I ran away once. It was easy. But then I started to feel hungry, so I came back home and made myself a sandwich. Running away might be easy for you, but not for me, said Roz. Your father can track my movements. If he sees me trying to escape, he will think I am defective, and he will send me away to be destroyed. An uncomfortable question popped into Jaya's mind. Roz, don't take this the wrong way, she began, but is it possible you are defective? Don't say that, Jaya, cried her brother. No, it is okay, said the robot. I have asked myself that same question. I do not feel defective. I feel different. Is being different the same as being defective? I don't think so, said Jaya, or else we're all a little defective. You saved my life, and now I'm going to save yours, said Jad, with a look of determination in his eyes. I know you can only access farming information, Roz, so let us handle the research. There has to be a way for you to safely escape, but we'll need time to figure out a plan. The robot exchanged a few animal words with her son, and then she said to the children, Bright Bill must soon lead his flock back to their wintering grounds. However, he can return here in the spring. The boy slowly nodded. We should have you ready by then. The girl looked concerned. Roz, even if you safely escape from the farm, how you'll get all the way home to your island? Leave that to Bright Bill and me, said the robot. Together we will find our way home. I have faith in the two of us, and I have faith in the two of you. And there they are. The brother and sister duo, kind of like you two. Chapter 40 is called Instincts. The next few days were a blur. Roz rushed through her daily tasks so she would have more time with the flock. The geese talked about Chit-Chat, the squirrel, and the beaver family, and the other animals on the island. Roz talked about the robot factory and the Sharifs and life on the farm. But the geese were always aware of their instincts, calling them back to the warm wintering grounds. And when they awoke one morning to find the countryside dusted with snow, they knew it was time to go. By some miracle, Roz and Bright Bill had been reunited, and now they had to say goodbye all over again. The flock stood in the pasture with Roz as the children and herd looked on. Bright Bill fluttered up to his mother's shoulder and wrapped his wings around her face. I'll return in the spring, said the goose, and then you and I are going to find our way home. Please be careful, said the robot. I do not want to lose you again. We'll keep your son out of trouble, squawked Loudwing with a smile. The geese waved goodbye to Roz and their new farm friends. And then Bright Bill shook his tail feathers, beat his wings, and led his flock into the sky. Chapter 41 is called The Winter. When Roz lived on the island, winter had seemed like one long, cruel blizzard. On Hilltop Farm, winter wasn't quite so harsh. The temperature fell, but then rose. Storms came and then went. Snow piled up and then melted away. Roz spent wintering preparing the farm for spring. She wanted everything to be perfect for when she left. She tuned up the machines. She made fertilizer from old grass clippings and manure. She planned which crops would be seeded in which fields. She carefully looked over the herd, made sure each cow was happy and healthy. She made long lists of supplies, and then Mr. Sharif would place big orders. The herding machine hauled bales of hay into the pasture, and the cows gathered around to eat, steam puffing from their mouths. Some of the cows were dried off and wouldn't be milked again until after the calving season. But others went to the milking parlor twice a day as usual. Bottles were filled, boxes were loaded, and the milk truck rolled away on its next delivery run. No matter the season, the dairy farm kept chugging along. Every day after school, Jad and Jaya ran to their bedrooms and got right to their homework. And when their homework was finished, their secret studies began. They researched the design and construction and maintenance of Razum robots, hoping to discover some way for Roz to safely escape. The information wasn't easy to find, but the children were persistent, and after weeks of work, they finally found what they were searching for. Chapter 42, The Plan. Jaya pressed a button on the side of the milking parlor, and the door hummed open. She and her brother stepped inside and wound their way past gleaming pipes and tanks and over to where Roz was cleaning some equipment. "We found a diagram of your designs," said Jaya. "We think we can help you escape." "The problem is your transmitter," said Jad. "That's the device that sends out your electronic signal. If we can remove your transmitter, you'll be able to run away whenever you want without anyone tracking you." "Do you know how to remove it?" asked Roz. "I think so," the boy chuckled nervously, "but we won't know for sure until we open you up and take a look." "We'll have to do it late at night," said Jaya, "when Dad is sleeping." "We just need to find a place where we can work in private," said Jad, rubbing his chin. "How about the old barn?" said Roz. "It is quiet and hidden. I can prepare the barn today, and you can operate on me tonight." Everyone agreed, and the plan was set. Chapter 43 is the operation. Midnight, and the children were wide awake in their beds. Jaya and Jad were waiting for their father to fall asleep. Once he was snoring deeply, they tiptoed past his bedroom, down the stairs, and out the back door. They crept across the farm to a cluster of trees, and there was the old barn, looming above the undergrowth like a mountain. Its door was open a crack, and a wedge of light spilled outside. The children closed the door behind them and walked past wooden railings and stairways and up a ramp to a platform in the back corner of the barn. Lanterns hung on the walls and cast their soft light upon a large table. Standing behind the table was the robot. "Hello, children," said Roz. "How do you like our operating room?" "It's a little dark," said Jaya, "but it'll work." Jad pulled his computer from his pocket. As he brought up the diagram of Roz's body, his face tightened with worry. "We've never done anything like this before." "Just do your best," said Roz, patting him on the back. "That is all I can ask of you." The robot unfastened her tool belt and draped it over the railing. Then she lay flat on the table. It was time to begin. Jaya looked down at Roz. "All set?" Roz looked up at Jaya. "All set." The girl felt under the robot's head, found the button with her fingers, and pressed it. Click. Roz's body relaxed. Her quiet whirring slowly stopped. Her eyes faded to black. Jad took a deep breath. Then he grasped the robot's head in his hands and twisted until, thwip, it popped off. In the smooth socket where the head had been was another button. Jaya pressed it, and the robot's chest opened up. They peered into the hollow chest cavity and saw a tangle of tubes connected to a grid of boxes. These were the robot's electronic organs. "That's the transmitter," said Jad, pointing. The children reached into the robot's chest, carefully removed the box and a tube, and set them on the table. "That was easy," said Jaya, smiling. Actually, I think this is the transmitter over here, said Jad, and he removed another box. Then Jaya removed another tube. The boy checked his computer and said, I might have this backward. A bead of sweat rolled down his forehead as he removed another box. Wait, I think we should start over. Jaya nudged her brother out of the way and started plugging parts back into the robot's chest. You're doing it wrong. Jad nudged his sister out of the way and started removing parts again. I don't know about you, reader, but I'm a little confused. And so were the children. Pretty soon, Roz's internal parts were strewn across the table and nobody knew where anything was supposed to go. Why did you remove so many boxes? Yelled Jaya. Why did you remove so many tubes? Yelled Jad. The siblings argued for a while, and then they sat quietly for a while. Ooh, that does not look good. The children were tired and cranky and afraid that they'd never get Roz working again. Jaya slumped against the table and looked up at the ceiling. Then her eyes drifted to the lanterns dimly glowing above, and then she had an idea. She climbed onto a wooden railing, grabbed one of the lanterns from its hook, and climbed back down. When she held the lantern close to Roz's body, Jad noticed that there were different numbers lightly etched onto each of the internal parts. Now things were starting to make sense. The children quickly removed the correct box and tube. They put the robot back together and they turned her on. Click. Roz's body tensed. Her quiet whirring slowly started. Her eyes began to glow, but she didn't say a word. Are you okay? Said Jad. Roz pointed to her mouth. Can you speak? Said Jaya. Roz shook her head. She can't speak, cried the boy. We must have put something back in the wrong place. Click. The children opened up Roz's body, rearranged some of her internal parts, and put her back together again. Click. Roz powered up and said, Children, I can now speak, but I cannot move. Click. After hours of trial and error, and with morning light seeping into the barn, the operation was a success. Roz stood up, scanned her internal parts, and said, Children, you did it. You removed my transmitter. Thank you so much for your help. You're very welcome, said Jaya, yawning. Jad checked his computer. I can still see your signal on the map, he said. Your transmitter is still working, so keep it close until you leave the farm. And then he stuffed the little electronic device into the robot's tool belt. Children, there is a bit of bad news, said Roz in a serious tone. I know you've been up all night long, but I'm afraid it's time for you both to get ready for school. Chapter 44, The Patient Robot. After being trapped on Hilltop Farm for nearly a year, Roz was now free to run away any time she liked. But without Brightbill to guide her, she wouldn't make it far. So the robot patiently waited for spring to come and for her son to return so they could begin their long journey home together. Chapter 45, The Barn Conversations. As winter dragged on, Roz spent more of her time inside with the herd, but there were long stretches of quiet. The cows chewed their hay, the robot tapped the farm computer. The wind gently rattled the windows. And then someone would start talking. Someone else would chime in, and the quiet of the barn would gradually be overtaken by conversations like these. I'm so bored, Tess was staring at the floor. I can't wait until spring when I can wander through the tall grass and feel warm sunlight on my back. I just hope I don't die of boredom first. Old Annabelle snorted. Huh! You young cows are spoiled rotten, she said. Your lives are so easy, and still you find things to complain about. Tess rolled her eyes. Yeah, we should be grateful for what we've got. You've told us that before. Well, you should be grateful for what you've got, said Annabelle. I've lived on other farms, and trust me, you have nothing to complain about. Tess couldn't help being curious, and she said, "What were the other farms like?" "Oh, I'd rather not discuss them," said Annabel in a low voice. "You see, I've witnessed some terrible things on those farms. It was a blessing when I was moved here, but I often think about the animals I left behind. I hope they're okay." The old cow sank in thought for a moment. "I know life here isn't perfect," she said at last, "but we have so much to be grateful for. We have our lovely herd, and we have this beautiful barn, and we have Roz," said Tess. "And we have Roz." Annabel turned and smiled at the robot in the corner. "Roz listens to us and treats us with love and kindness, and she makes our lives as comfortable as she possibly can. We certainly will miss her when she's gone." "Roz, why do humans need so much cow's milk?" said Lily, as the other calves crowded around her. It was a question they'd all been wondering about. "Well, there are billions of humans in the world," explained Roz, "and many of them drink milk and combine it with different ingredients to make different foods." "What kinds of foods?" said another calf. "Butter and cheese and yogurt are made with milk," said Roz. "Many desserts also are made with milk." "What desserts?" said someone else. What's a dessert?" "A dessert is a sweet food eaten at the end of a meal. Popular desserts include cake and custard and ice cream." This answer only raised more questions. What is cake? What is custard? What is ice cream? Roz tried her best to explain these foods to the calves, but it wasn't easy. After all, the robot couldn't even possibly perform the simple act of eating. How could she possibly describe the flavors and sensations of tasting delicious desserts? Lily interrupted. "Just tell me this, Roz. When we're older, will our milk be used to make desserts?" "Yes," said the robot. The calves smiled. Then they trotted away, happy in the knowledge that someday they'd help to bring sweet and delicious things to the world. "It's almost spring," said Roz to the herd. "It is almost time for me to run away, back home to the wilderness. I'm sorry that I must leave, but you will all be well cared for when I'm gone. I promise." The cows began mooing from their stalls. "Don't worry about us, Roz." "There's no need to apologize. We understand why you're running away." Lily poked her head through the railings of her stall and said, "I could never run away to the wilderness. I would be too frightened." "I'd love to roam through the wilderness," said Tess. "It sounds so exciting." "No wilderness for me, thank you very much," said Annabel. "I want a quiet and cozy life." "I have plenty to fear in the wilderness," said Roz. "However, I have more to fear here. I can never be my true self around humans, and so I must try to return to my home. I only wish I could do it myself," she went on, "but I need help. I could never escape from the farm without the children, and I could never find my way home without my son. I feel bad for asking so much of them." "Don't feel bad," said Lily. "Bright Bill and the children will want to help you. They love you. We all do. The farm won't feel the same without you, Roz, but we know you're doing the right thing." The herd agreed with Lily, and throughout the barn, cows quietly nodded their heads. Let's stop there. Kisses. 2 for each of you. Until we read again.